Thank you. So welcome to our touchless payments option little webinar here. We will be talking about a few different things. I am not an expert. I have been diving down the rabbit hole of all the different options of touchless payments here, and I'm just about confused is about it, like Robbie over there. So I hailed in a few people who have experience so they can answer questions as well. I'll pop up a little PowerPoint here and we can cover some basics, but then I'm going to bring in a few other folks to chat about it. Not all of them are here today, but I do see Jeff Sarzi is already here. Jeff is a potter here in Homer and has had experience using several different kinds. So I'll be dragging him in here pretty soon. Mandy Bernard from our own farmers market. She's also a crafter and she's had lots of experience with different kinds. And then a variety artist, a magician who was presenting on the Spit last summer. He answered my call for questions about who has had experience, and he's been on the street literally all over the place. So hopefully he'll be able to join us as well. Alrighty, so I'm going to close the poll out of my screen here then. And let's see if I can figure out how to share a screen. I think you're gonna get a pretty picture first.
Great.
Yeah, there's a little picture of Homer, you lucky guys.
It's lovely.
Oh, and it's over. That was it. That's all you got. Alrighty, so if there is any questions, I am totally open for anybody to bust in at any time. I am going to try and keep everybody in view at the same time. And I'm looking at this.
Tyra, I'll keep up with the chat for you, so I'll break in if there's a question.
Yes, so speak up. If you write it in the chat, Jody can get a hold of you. If you do want to just verbally ask a question, you can wave your hand. I've got everybody's screen up here. Yeah, raise your hand or use your little icons and try and get a hold of my attention that way. We'll see if we can answer your questions. So I'm not, like I mentioned, the expert, but there is plenty of information out on the internet to get you nicely confused. Let's see if I can get everybody's faces so they're not completely covering my slideshow. There we are. There are a few options. There are a few options that can completely overwhelm the situation. There are different kinds of companies that have different kinds of fees and standards of operation and ways that they transfer cash back and forth, whether it's through bank accounts or through credit cards, or there's a million different ways that this can manifest. So I'm going to narrow it down to a few things, and then Jeff and Mandy and Josh can talk more specifically. And any of you guys that have experience, please feel free to chip in as well. But we do have, Mandy just joined us. We do have experience here, which sometimes can get rid of all of the confusion of the brands and the kinds. If somebody says, this works for me, sometimes that's just the best. I'm not here to endorse anything specifically, but try and throw up as many options at you as possible so that you can make your own choices as to what might work for you. So some of the basics. First of all, stop thinking about cash and cards. That's what our goal is today. Both of those require touching of hands and exchanging germs. So we're going to see if there's a way that we can work around that. The way to do that is to start thinking about your phone. There's a fascinating technology I'm just going to briefly mention that comes up a lot. And I didn't even know this. This is how naive I was. I was at Safeway the other day and I saw that symbol, that little Wi-Fi symbol on their cash or on the credit card machine. And I was like, I'll be darned. Their machines can read cards from a distance and they can read phones from a distance. And I've never seen anybody use it. But we're, small town Alaska, maybe it'll get here sooner or later. And maybe after all of you guys start looking into this, it'll just boom, who knows? But it is a sort of thing that, as this picture shows, you can actually just use your smartphone and get it near a credit card reader that has that symbol on it. It means that it is wired up for near field technology. I don't think that's the right word, near NFT technology. And it can read not your credit card number, but an encrypted credit card number that attaches to your bank account. It's quite secure and fascinating. I'm not going to go into all the details, but if you have a card reader, there is the ability to do that. So if in the future you think about buying a card reader and you want it to be touchless, it is an option, but look for the NFT somewhere on it. What this comes in for is digital wallets. So you can use your phone to be your wallet instead of your credit card. So you can connect your credit cards, your bank account. You can use it at retailers, people who have credit card readers like this one. You can often use it online. These are some of the bigger name brands that have these digital wallets: Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, PayPal. As you might see, those are all big name brands. These are big guys. They're highly integrated. They're able to be used online. You can have, for example, Google and Apple Pay all have the NFT technology so that you can wave your phone in front of a card reader and it'll work. Samsung Pay also has it so that it stimulates it just like a credit card. So even if the machine doesn't have that kind of technology, it can still be read. Kind of fascinating. PayPal doesn't have either one of those. You can't use it to set off a card reader, but you can wire money through PayPal quite easily. So all of these, you tie to big accounts and you can have multiple credit cards on them, and you can transfer money between vendor and buyer. Then there's this other thing I discovered, peer-to-peer. So this is where you're actually directly transferring funds to your family, to your friends. A lot of these programs, these apps are designed so you can actually split bills. If you all go out to a restaurant, you can split the bill off of different things. They often don't charge fees. Some of them you can send money to a friend through an email or a text. I mean, these are extremely easy to use. And well, I'll let the experts talk about that. I haven't used it, but they sound much more easy to use and really generic kind of things that people use on a regular basis. So things like email and text, everybody knows how to do that. So it wouldn't be hard to learn. And some of them don't require the recipient of the money to also have the app. So you could just send it to somebody who doesn't have the app. So that could come in handy as well. Some of the companies that you may recognize that are peer-to-peer: Cash App, Venmo, Zoom, Zelle. There's a bazillion. I tried to make a matrix that I would share with you guys, and maybe someday I'll get it done. But it became so large and so all-encompassing that I decided that was not worth my time nor yours. So let's see here. We've got, there we are, different styles. So this is where I'm gonna just start highlighting some of the different companies that are out there. Venmo is a peer-to-peer kind. I've got some pros and cons that I got off of a comparison page, but now I'd love to open it up to Jeff and Mandy. I think you both have experience with Venmo. Can you talk at all about that?
I used it about an hour ago to sell a pot. I really like it. I don't know what the negatives are, but I know that I get my my money without fees as long as it's put into my account 1 to 3 days. So that's really nice. The only other thing is that if you're my Facebook friend, then your account's on, or it's a contact of yours, so they're on there, easy to find. Otherwise, you need to put that person's information in. But they do have one of those handy little scan things that you can send somebody So the person who I just sold a pot to, I just sent that to them, and within a matter of minutes, I was paid. So,
Okay, so they create a QR code for you, and you can just email that to somebody?
Yep, and it's just over there where your little profile is, and you can click on it or take a picture of it and send it. And so that's how I do a lot of business that way. It's really nice. The kids like it.
Yeah, that's who I always heard had this on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So the person has to have the app if you're doing a transaction with them, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have used this. Sorry, my video cut out, so I don't know if you're actually calling on me yet.
Go for it, Mandy.
I heard my name a couple minutes ago, and then I had problems. I have seen this. I've used this at craft fairs, much like Jeff. A lot of people were coming up asking. I didn't have it on my phone, and at a craft fair this winter, someone wanted to pay me with that, and was like, oh yeah, it's really easy. I'll just, just do this. And I am technically a millennial, and I will say that I have the online comfort levels of an older person, and not older, but in terms of concerns about security. And Venmo kind of weirded me out because I hadn't used it before, and it wasn't like Square where you link your bank account and you get a receipt. So it was kind of like magical fake money for a little bit, because it was just hanging out. It was like a $40 transaction, and it was just hanging out in my account. And it does have the option then you can add in your information and deposit it to your checking account, but it also serves as its own little Venmo wallet. So what I did then was go around the craft fair and paid 3 other people, and then just spent that money. And that was all without ever having to sign up or link anything or credit card, bank, nothing. So that was kind of bizarre, but it all worked out. And I know, like Jeff was talking about the high school friends and the picture that you have up now, that was another thing that was like, whoa, this is, there are settings you can turn all of that off. It tries to make it like a social thing so everybody can see. And I think I was laughing at somebody's comment on Kyra's original Facebook inquiry to this, and they said something about no one needs to know that my mom sent me $80 for a gym membership or something. You can turn all of that off, so that's great, and I like that about it. So all in all, yeah, I felt pretty great about it, and there's no touch. It just sends everything. It's amazing and magical technology. So I really liked it, and a lot of people, especially younger people, are using it. All the kids are using Venmo apparently. So
great, perfect. All righty. Oh, Jody, you're on mute.
I've got my Venmo account, and I never knew about this scan thing. This is so cool, Jeff. Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah, it's handy.
I had no idea, and then I'm only on Venmo because that's how I get my kid her money in college. But now that she's out of college, I don't have to send her money anymore. Yay!
Jody, can you send me money?
Yeah. Robbie's ready to help, Jody.
Got my code pulled up.
All right. So next up, as far as transaction opportunities, PayPal. Have Jeff and Mandy, both of you have used PayPal, correct? It's got a lot of different options. Can you talk about what you've used?
Yeah, it's kind of the majority of people use PayPal. So, I say, they say they want to buy a pot. I say, great. I package it up. I give you the total price. Do you want to do PayPal or Venmo or Square? And most people are comfortable with PayPal. There is this group that that has a problem with it at some point in time. I can't remember what happened, but there is that group, and most of them are Venmo now. So anyway, with PayPal, what do I like about it? I like the fact that if somebody hasn't paid, it reminds me. So if I'm setting an invoice up online, It reminds me that they haven't paid, and I can remind them because sometimes it'll go to their junk mail. At craft fairs, you know, it's more of what we're talking about here. It has the slide card. And actually, I ended up switching over to Square because the chip's easier. So when you talk about it was more about the tools themselves. I think PayPal, I had to pay for a chip reader, and I didn't want to do that, so I went with Square instead. So if I'm at a craft fair, I do that, but PayPal's my go-to. I think just because more people are comfortable with it.
And so is it the sort of thing that they have an account and they and you bill them to their account? Do they have to give you information? What kind of exchange happens there?
Just an email address. So even if they don't have an account, it just asks them, you know, pay by a credit card, and so that's how it works.
Okay, so your customer doesn't have to have a PayPal account.
I don't believe so. Some of them don't, but they're all, everybody's familiar with it. So
yeah, it's an old one.
I have a question about that though.
Yeah.
In the farmer's market setting, this is Heidi and Kenai. In the farmer's market setting, I use PayPal for my organization, Kenai Soil and Water Conservation District. And I invoice people who haven't sent me their annual payment for service X, Y, or Z. But unless they authorize a payment, I don't get paid. So if I'm doing a one-time transaction with somebody that I don't know at the farmer's market, I don't want to send them an invoice. I want to be paid right now. So does that, can PayPal manage that?
with a swipe of a card.
Okay, you have to have the card reader.
You can punch it in too. You know, as long as you have the app and they have their credit card, you can punch all that information in. Not as convenient, but you can do that too. Mm-hmm. You know, the other thing is you have this list of everybody. You know, you have all your emails. So when I do my newsletter, I can do an export and, you know, dump it into my, you know, monkey guy, whatever it is, chip monkey thing, to send out newsletters. So that's really nice too.
Go for it.
Kyra, really quick. Nicole has a question. Nicole's wondering, do you need internet access at the in-person sales venues to use these?
Yeah.
Or your data.
Or your data.
Yeah, or your data, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
I would just say I'd echo Jeff's comment on like everyone has heard of PayPal and they feel comfortable with it. I think because it's a familiar system. And kind of like Venmo, it's possible to just have money in your PayPal account if you want to have that extra wallet. But I like that PayPal, it always gives you the option, the customer, the option to use your funds that are in your PayPal account, or you can use a credit card. So it gives you options, and that's the main benefit I see for that.
It does take money, you know, there is a fee that goes with it, you know, so that's something to consider. With Venmo, it's only a fee when you want it expedited to your account. So the nice thing that PayPal did during this COVID thing is they relaxed those fees, an extra fee to have it expedited to your account. And I don't know where that stands now.
Well, it's interesting that somebody be against PayPal and for Venmo, because actually PayPal now owns Venmo. I learned that. But, as Mandy mentioned, I shot out a question to one of our social groups in Homer and asked for information if anybody had experienced. That's how I found Jeff and Mandy. But one of the comments that was vehemently against PayPal, and I've seen this elsewhere, is that PayPal is huge and it has a lot of lawyers and it has a lot of regulation. And so it tends to side with the customer. So one of the people here in Homer had been in litigation for like 2 years for a misunderstanding, and it had involved loan office or them getting tracked down as if they'd breached a loan or something. So it looks horrible on their credit rating. And so she was very much against them. So it is the sort of thing where PayPal is definitely more secure for the customer. So what Heidi's mentioning is exactly right. If you're meeting somebody for the first time and you're going to bill them, then take that into consideration. It might be harder to track it down than it would be for them to track you down if you'd stiffed them. Oh, I see that Josh has joined us. Welcome, Josh. See if he's got a microphone. Maybe, maybe not. All right, we're going to continue. The next option is Zelle. And I think the only one that I noted had an experience with this was Mandy. What do you have to say about Zelle?
Okay, so yes, it was another situation where someone wanted to pay me for artwork with Zelle, and it was a I had never heard of it before, and I looked it up and understood that yes, it was a real system, but I had to go through weird hoops to get it hooked up. It lists all of these banks all over the country, and of course, Alaska USA Credit Union was not one of them. So I had to go through, they have some button about, is your bank not on here? Don't worry, go through these extra steps. And I don't remember what they were exactly, but it was, it was a few more steps of somehow getting it connected and hooked up to that account. And then everything was fine. It's the the interface of the app itself is very minimalist. So it's very weird. You just have one line that says so-and-so sent you $400 and that's it. There's nothing fancy about it. But I didn't have any problems with it. And I do know someone mentioned on that thread that it no longer works with our local credit union. I don't know if that's true or if they just had problems with it and couldn't go those extra steps, but she said that made it sound like this was a recent change. And I just had that one person that wanted to pay me that way. So I've kind of, through all these different fairs and now with people, so many different platforms, I just have a folder on my iPhone with 5 or 6 different payment apps and I have them available in case anybody wants to, but yeah, there's some like Zelle that I've only used once or twice. So I like having those available just so I can take all the monies that people want to give me when they want to. But if it's up to me invoicing someone, then I have a different system. So that's all I got.
Perfect. And that's exactly why I wanted to highlight this one too. I'm mostly just putting the big players up here. And especially the ones that integrate with lots of things. And Zelle, I don't know who owns it. PayPal doesn't own it. Google doesn't own it. So, it's not one of the big boys. But one of the articles that I found had a huge list of kind of different apps for digital wallets. And then I looked at the date and it was 2015 and most of them don't exist anymore. So that is a cautionary principle to keep in mind, is that some of these things that aren't as big get sucked up by the big boys and or may disappear later on. But like Mandy said, it certainly doesn't hurt if it's not too expensive to just have it on your phone as an app. And this one, the recipient doesn't need the app, so you could have it and exchange funds without having to worry about the recipient having it. Now, Cash App is another one, and this one is, we just lost Josh, so I don't know if he's the one I was hoping could talk to this one. This one is promoted as Cash App, and that's what you'll see, but it is Square is the company that has Cash App. So it is a peer-to-peer version of what Square provides. So from what I've heard, and according to that chain of on the Facebook question, as well as what Josh was telling me earlier, it's extremely easy to use. And again, super quick in between family and friends and simple use. So, and the difference is that cons are that it doesn't work at points of sale, like a grocery store or something like that. But that's, you also have the Square app that would be more appropriate for that anyway. So Mandy and Jeff, you guys don't have experience with this one, do you?
No.
Let's see.
Heidi?
Yeah, well, I have it set up on my phone. I'm a new Cash App user. It was very easy to set up. And when you say it doesn't work at point of sale, I'm thinking, well, it would work if the person I was shopping with had it, because it's
Right.
you would just do the peer-to-peer transfer. But
Right. When I should say stores, like it doesn't work at online stores and
Yeah.
maybe not grocery stores or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely selling to farmers and farmers markets, it should work just fine. So then Square. Jeff and Mandy, you both have Square that you use, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what would you say about that, Jeff?
I really like Square a lot. I like the chip reader because it's a Bluetooth, so I don't have to have it plugged into my phone. Yeah, that's the deal. I got an 8 Apple iPhone 8, and so it's got the new square, not round plug-in. So it's like, what do I do? And I got the Bluetooth chip reader. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's my go-to at fairs.
And it doesn't require anybody to have anything. Anybody just hands you a credit card?
Yep. Swipe or read the chip. Yep.
Mhm.
And if there's, you can always punch the credit card in too. If something's wrong, I've had that happen before. You can always punch that information in. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
I love Square. It is my favorite because it has such a robust, well, at least compared to the other options, accounting options. You can have a pie chart of, I sold mostly tea towels today. You can inventory all your items, and this is, our local art gallery uses Square for the whole gallery, Vanel, but just for my own sales, I might have a dozen or so different products. And if I want, I can have my own little Mandy store and have pictures of the items in there, and I can inventory how many items I'm going in with at the beginning of the fair, which is really useful when you have a busy outing, to see what you sold most of when and at what point of the day did you have the most sales. I love that. And it's like Jeff was saying, they have a lot of accessories that you can get depending on your phone or what you want. Like in the picture that you're showing, that little square one versus the thing that's connected by Bluetooth that you just tap your card to it. You don't even have to enter it. You can tap it on top. And then the full readers that I'm sure people have seen at most of their local restaurants will pay with that, where you flip the screen around and the customer signs with their finger or whatever, which we wouldn't necessarily want now, but they have a lot of options. And I think more and more people, it's becoming a little bit like PayPal, where most people have heard of it. So it's definitely my favorite, just for the tracking and the reporting options. And the customer doesn't have anything. If you want to send somebody an invoice to pay later, if you know them or if you trust that will work out, you can do that and send it, and they send reminders, and it just seems to have the most options. And like Jeff was saying too, you can punch in a number if something's not working. So sometimes Bluetooth fails on my phone, but I can still take a card. It also lets you do, if you have no connection to Wi-Fi or data, it will store all of those transactions and process them when you're back on data or Wi-Fi. Again, I guess if somebody gave you a fraudulent credit card, it wouldn't know that until later and they've already walked off with your things. But otherwise, the odds are, I like it a lot.
Yeah, you can also put information in, like, a mug with the mug price, or, whatever you're selling, maybe something per pound, and it remembers it. So when things get rushed, there are some neat added features where you can put in some of your commonly sold or inventory items.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. This is going to get into a little bit more of the digital wallet versions, not just peer-to-peer. Google Pay, and I'm just going to throw these out here, not that Mandy or Jeff have experience with these necessarily, but they are things that kind of like Mandy was saying, you see the square tablet that they turn around at the restaurant and have you sign. Google Pay, you're starting to see the sticker on stores around town. It's gotten a lot more common. So I just wanted to let you know that it does exist, but it is a, Google Pay is a digital wallet, more like PayPal, and then Google Send is their peer-to-peer version. So they do have a peer-to-peer version, but it's Google Send, so you'd have to have two separate apps. Again, you can load up all of your credit cards on it and pay with that. So if you accept pay, it would be a lot more like PayPal. Now, I'm pretty sure that no one here has experience with Total Pay Go. Has anybody heard of that one? It got brought up at the AFMA conference, actually. Tracy?
Well, I think I made a mistake and tried to sign up to do the Snap cards at home, and I just got the contract and went, well, you said it was free equipment, but I didn't realize that it was not free processing. So I may send it back. But the Total Pay Go app looks really easy to set up. It was just once the contract got here that they said like $48 a month, you know.
Ooh.
Right, when you're only going to use it at the farmer's market, I'm basically might as well just give my veggies away if that's the way it's going to be, you know. So, yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, so beware.
So if you have lots of sales that would validate you having a Snap card reader, then this is the one that you could integrate it with your Square account. You can integrate it with all of those things, but and it'll take all credit cards, debit cards, even like sales cards from your favorite restaurant, your loyalty cards. But yeah, sounds like it's got some pricey expenses for that. So
Tracy?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I attended the Total Pay Go webinar last week, and they were saying that, you know, the advantage of their fee structure is that you only pay it for the month that you use it. So if you're only using it for the 3 months or the 4 months of the farmer's market, you can know exactly what your total cost is and then turn it off.
Right, and that would be okay, except I think, you know, using the wooden nickels that we were using in the past, the most I've ever done in a season on Snap is $20.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Doesn't make it worth it.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that is all I had as far as options. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff or Mandy while we've got them here, or about any specific brand or any specific style of doing things?
I have a question.
Go for it, Heidi.
So from the perspective of somebody who uses QuickBooks to do their business reporting, income and expenses, what is the actual process for gathering all the reports from these different applications that you're using to be able to do a good income report?
That's a great question. I'm old school. I still use Excel for my budgeting, or my for my accounting. So I have to do it all manually. But I'm sure there's a way. Yeah.
But you get a digital report. You and Mandy both really like Square, and they have robust reporting. So they just send you a list of all your transactions. Yeah. And then you can take a summary of that or the individual transactions and drop it into your Excel sheet.
Yes, I think it does actually have the option to export to an XLS file.
Right.
So that Jeff, I use Excel too for my budget and have done that before. But the app itself, for going onto a desktop, going into the program, you can have it, you know, I automatically get an email anytime somebody pays for something, and it will, I think it also sends you at the end of the day, these are your total sales for the day, but you can go into the system itself and say, I want to see how many sales I had just between 2 and 4 o'clock on this one particular day, and get a picture of that if you want it, or if you want for the whole time period. So it does give you customizing options to just grab a certain set of data that you're interested in. So I would think that if it has that capability to export to XLS, that you could put that in QuickBooks somehow. And the other programs that I've used, it's like maybe you get an email, maybe I'm just checking my credit card statement. Like, I don't know if I guess I got an email for Venmo. I can't remember, but I feel like that, most of them at the minimal will give you at least an email confirmation, but, and I'll keep that in a separate folder for my taxes, but that might be as much as you get.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Looks
You know,
like
the other
there's
thing,
some- oh, sorry.
I was just going to say on PayPal and Square both, you know, there's the issue for me where if I sell in the borough or if I sell city borough, so there's those taxes, or if I sell outside. So I have these little pull downs for the taxes as well in both Square and PayPal, which is really nice. In Venmo, I just have to, you know, remember to do that. So.
Cool. So Kyra, it looks like there's some really good questions coming up. We've got Nicole is asking, how do digital wallets actually work? What? And since you've been deep diving in all this, I'm sure you can get all the gritty details in that answer.
Somewhat. Somewhat.
Do what?
Somewhat. Yeah, I do want to add too that one of our, or a few of our farmers down here have used Square. It offers you up a free sales website. So especially for folks that are trying to encourage their farmers to go over to sell on a website and just do pickup at the farmer's market, that's an option. Square, if somebody has no experience with websites, then Square, that's another Benny of Square.
So do you know how digital wallets work? Seriously?
Yeah, so the basic concept, like PayPal is considered a digital wallet. You can have, as Mandy mentioned, you can have funds that PayPal holds for you. That's like your change pocket. And you can have your Alaska Airlines card and your Alaska USA card and your Discover card. Of course, we all have American Express card. You can have all of those things put in, you know, so you can put your data in there, and then when you shop, it will ask you, you know, which you can select a preferred card for your expenses to go off of, or you can select a card specifically. I know here in town, for example, I got an invoice from a local accounting agency, and they said you can pay by check, or you can pay us on PayPal. And I entered in, just like Jeff was mentioning, you enter in their email, POW, there's a button I pushed and the money went to them. It was so simple. So that is, that's one of the benefits of some of these bigger machines that have lots of different ways for you to get money out. PayPal, you can order online, you can pay for your Amazon purchases, you can pay for your downloads or whatever, but you can also use it with somebody who has an account. You can pay somebody through an email, or you can invoice somebody, as Jeff was describing. So that's kind of a digital wallet. It's the idea that you can do everything with it that you can do with your wallet. I did find one picture. It's a graphic. I decided not to use it. It had a picture of a phone, and it had all of the things in a typical wallet. but it also had a condom, and I don't think they can actually do that. So we're not gonna have that part in there. But everything that does with money, you can do in a digital wallet. So yeah, that's the basic concept. Just a new place to keep your money. And since so many of our transactions can be done electronically, that's what it's for.
Cool. And then Evelyn's asking what people think of Facebook Pay.
Good question.
What are some thoughts from our vendors out there that have used it or have heard about it or anything?
Jeff or Mandy, have you guys used it?
No, I have not.
Okay. So all I can quote is some of the experience that somebody got back to me on that Facebook query. And that again, if you have anybody or any of the groups that you're in on Facebook where you can just query about touchless payments, I got so much information in just one ask. But there was one woman who sells at a lot of craft fairs, and she also posts on Facebook, and she said she loved it. She had had success, but that's 1 out of 1 surveyed, 100% loved it. But so that's the only feedback I have, but I haven't heard any complaints about it.
So what are some other thoughts that people have as you're kind of, some of you have already started selling, some of you are always selling because you've got, you know, crafts and arts and that sort of thing. But as our vegetable vendors are getting ready to start selling soon, if they haven't already, or like Brad, maybe on Saturday, for example, what should we start doing? What should we be thinking about as we move into this kind of wave? Like, how do you prepare? You know, Mandy, you said that you've got like a little file on your phone that you've got all of the payment apps so that you can just take payment from all of the people. I mean, like, what sort of things should some of the participants here start thinking about as we prepare for the season?
I think thinking through what apps you'll be comfortable using and remembering that there are so many, and I think I'm thinking of the people that come to Homer's farmers markets might not be the most technologically savvy. You know, they're not going to have 7 different things that they're going to try to pay you with, and so maybe going with one of the, at least making sure you have one of the bigger systems available. And I think figuring out what you as a vendor are most comfortable with using and moving forward with that as your primary. And then I think that's almost everyone has credit cards, and even if it's in you know, a digital wallet, that's a way that people are used to paying. And so if you're most comfortable with Square, you're most comfortable with PayPal, then having that system on your phone, being familiar with it, and having whatever devices that you want to have with however your booth is designed. I went somewhere in town, a store the store was blocked off, and you could come in and basically stand on their entrance mat and tell the owner what you wanted, and they would shop for you and put it on a cart that they pushed towards you so that you could get your things. And also they had glued in the corner of that cart one of the little square readers. So it was, you know, pushed towards me, and I put my card in and took it out, and that was it. There's no other touching. So I was only touching my card because they had it glued down, so it wasn't like it was moving all around. So I felt like that was very safe, and that was a good, so I think thinking through your design and what sort of devices are you going to have, and just doing some I've learned the hard way. Don't put a new app on your phone and go in the day that you're going to sell thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and then you're fumbling with figuring it out if the Wi-Fi goes out, or how to, just practice before you go. That's all I'd recommend.
Yeah, I have to second the practice one. Make sure, I mean, you know, because sometimes for me it's the holiday seasons, and I ended up at one show and I wasted a half hour because I couldn't remember my password. So practice.
So true. And since so many of these, you can use them as a consumer or a vendor, there's lots of ways to practice before you go.
I really like, Colleen had a really good question, and then Evelyn just is amazing, and all this stuff went down in the chat box. But Colleen's question is that many of her transactions are under $5. So how much does, you know, a transaction cost on the different platforms? Like, how do those rate? How do those compare?
That's a really good question. And that's where it also is really handy, like Jeff said, get to know it beforehand, or like Mandy said, pick one and get to know it really well, because like Venmo doesn't charge any kind of transaction fees. Google Pay doesn't charge any kind of transaction fees. But some of them do on credit cards. They'll charge 3% on credit cards. So each one's different. That's definitely something to look at when you're comparing.
Yeah, read the fine print for whatever system you want to use, and it is usually a percentage rather than a. Actually, I think maybe Square was going to some sort of, if it's less than a certain dollar. I think that was this past Christmas that they had moved from, if it's less than a certain dollar amount, then they'll charge you like 10 cents per transaction, or it was something that I was comfortable with, that I felt pretty minimal. And I've looked at the different platforms to try to get the one with the best percentage, and I feel like they're really pretty standardized. There is a difference in percentage for Square. If you enter somebody's credit card number, it's a slightly higher fee than if you swipe. So just, yeah, being aware of all of that, and knowing too that the only time that you're going to do that is if something's going wrong, if it's a glitch. And I see Nicole was asking about it, if cell phone isn't working and if it uses Wi-Fi or data. And again, I know for Square at least, if things are completely off, I can't get data or cell service, it has an offline feature. So it'll store all of that up and process it when you're connected later. So I'm not missing any sales at that point, even if nothing's working. And I really like that feature.
I know that Evelyn mentioned that earlier, and I guess you just hope that the person actually has that account and it has money in it, right? If you're waiting to process it later, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's a chance. Brad, do you guys have anything in Fairbanks that's, I mean, are you guys kind of standardized, or is it just like every vendor for themselves? What kind of is happening up there at your market?
So I set up a virtual farmers market on our website, which pretty much just takes people to online stores. At the market, we have a lot of people using all sorts of different apps, like PayPal has their triangle, Square has the square. I think whatever surfaced is that the people that were using the triangle last summer are on PayPal, and the people that were using Square last year have a Square online store. And that's mostly of what I'm seeing, both of which the interface is so user-friendly to set up your store. Like if you set up a product last year, like carrots for $3 a bunch or whatever, they'll automatically populate your online store with that stuff. Yeah, so it's kind of like, I feel the same, like our customer base are not the most technically savvy. Anything that you can do both, maybe a direct payment at like a pay chip or a card and a direct payment. I don't know. The thing I think about a lot is how quickly this happens. And if you have like multiple options for payment, you're like sitting there trying to like get into your payment and there's somebody else holding a card ready to buy. So I've seen a lot of, I think the majority of people are using Square in our market though. Yeah. Seems to work well. That whole offline thing, we have horrible connectivity at our market, so that goes a long way.
You see Donna Ray's comment there?
Yeah, I was just reading that too. Yeah, is it something, so Brad and Robbie and Gwen and Evelyn, I'm just picking on my market managers that are on here right now. would you guys, if you've got, a brand new vendor that's involved, is there something that you would recommend, or, how would you help a new person coming in, and what would you do if they asked you to help? I mean, would you recommend something? Is this part of the COVID-19 response that you're actually saying you guys can't take cash, so you have to figure out another way? I mean, kind of what's going on?
At our market, sorry, Brad, you can go ahead.
So I've had every vendor at our market give me a site plan and description of how they were taking payment. And as I said, I have like 65 vendors going to be there on Saturday, and I have 65 different plans. So like from one guy got a metal clipboard screwed to the end of a stick that he sticks it out there, and you put your cash in the clipboard, and he comes and he puts that in his bin and sanitizes the clipboard. And someone else has got a iPad that they slept in a bag that goes in this little thing that sticks out on a stick, and someone else with a cash box. Like, I'm open there. I feel like even with cash, there are ways to do it not without contact. Like you have extra change. Then you used to bring a $200 bank, you bring a $500 bank of ones and fives, so that if you do need to make change, it's from your own change. That cash that you're being paid sits out there. We're not requiring that you only do touchless payment. I am requiring you that you thought through, if you are using cash or you are using a card, how are you going to make sure that you're able to sanitize what someone touched, and how you're not going to be grabbing their hand as you do it. But it's kind of incredible the different ideas people have. Yeah,
For our market, I don't think that we could get away with not having cash. We are asking our vendors what their plan is, whether they have one person that's touching food only and one person that's handling the cash only or the credit card. But we have it in our policy that you should wash your hands after each transaction. So the way we have it set up, we're having folks put a barrier between themselves and the customers and the products. So basically, I want some raspberry jam, I want this, I want that. And then the vendor would put it on the table, so there's no hand-to-hand on the products, and the customers aren't fondling all of the things as much as we like to fondle eggplants and carrots. Just kidding. Anyway, we're encouraging people to bring small bills. So we even have that on our poster. Hey, bring cash in small increments. Because we're still running our SNAP program, but we have taken out our market coin program, since there is so much back and forth in between, like to get a coin, to give it to the person, to pay the person, to give it back to Mandy, it's about 5 or 6 touch spots. So that's a lot of interaction for our market manager and our EBT person. But we are offering SNAP because there is no other choice for SNAP. Like at our markets, there are choices. You can use PayPal, Venmo, all the awesome things Kyra has brought up. So and that's a big one for our staff. Like none of our staff want to deal with the 150 interactions we have every market with the credit card. Like it's nowhere near ideal. But the other things we've seen for accepting cash, I know Emily Garrity, she's gonna put out a box. It's like an honor box. You can put your money in the box. You put your Quest tokens in the box, that sort of thing. And then when they get home, they can air it out, or if you set it out, sanitize it in some way, spray it down. I don't know what, but that's how we're dealing with it. I don't think that markets can get away without accepting cash, since it's been such a cash-based kind of a thing for so long. Mandy, do you want to add anything?
Just that one of our vendors was talking about that he normally sells a bunch of carrots for $4, and he said that this year he's going to make that bunch a little bit bigger and call it $5, so that thinking through pricing as a vendor so that you're not having to give change. People could just give you a 5 or whatever. And I just wanted to say, I was just reading Donna's comment, and you're saying that suggested to vendors such that customers don't feel like they need such a variety of apps. Almost none of these, the customer doesn't have to have the app. It's just the vendor. So it's whatever you as a vendor, and if somebody, you know, in those cases, like at a craft fair, somebody happened to have, that's how they preferred to transfer funds, was by Venmo. And they asked, will you take Venmo? And I said, sure. So I signed up for it at that point. But in most cases, you, the vendor, should have, you know, whatever system you want, and then the person's paying you with their credit card somehow through that system. So it's not that the customer has to have a folder full of apps. It's just if you prefer to go that way as a vendor.
Yeah, and I think it's important to give vendors as much flexibility and choice rather than saying, we recommend this one. I would love to just give them Kyra's lists and some feedback and say, make the choice that fits your business model best. And that's kind of how we've worked with these safety plans. Like, here's the requirement. Be as creative as you can or as you want, as long as you are meeting this requirement, because everyone has different capacities and different comfort levels. So, yeah.
So I'm wondering, Evelyn, how about you? I mean, you know, New Haven, what's going on out there, and how are you dealing with, you know, your cell phone data or your connectivity?
So cell phone data is it doesn't exist in rural Alaska.
Right.
For Lake Iliamna area, I can speak on behalf of that. There's no cell phone data, 0. So we pay for anyway. Back on point, the best thing I can do is last year and previous years and this winter I was using Square and was using the offline mode, and I know everybody, so I'm super comfortable with doing the offline mode because I'm like, oh, $72.50 didn't clear, that was so and so. I can just call them and say, hey, sorry, your card declined, do you have another form of payment or whatever. Out in urban Alaska, that's not exactly the best thing to do, but just currently with what I've done is I've completely gone online with all of my sales. I don't plan on doing a farmer's market setting this year, which is I've done in the past years in the clinic parking lot. I actually have more sales than I've ever had doing an online market, which is pretty interesting. My sales are probably up $1,000 a week, which is pretty, it's pretty awesome. So the nice thing about it is it's all prepaid, so I know exactly how much I need, how many deliveries I'm gonna have once it comes in on the plane. So it's just been, online sales has been like a miracle to me almost, but it's been really great because it's completely touchless too. Now, speak with online sales, not everybody has internet, which is totally cool too. So people just call me, they give me their orders over the phone. If they have a credit card, great. Then I just manually type in the card, connect it to my Wi-Fi system, and then I just charge their card manually and just deal with those fees as they are, but at least I get the sale that way. If they want to pay cash or check, what I have them do, because I package all their stuff, I put on my masks and my gloves and have my hand sanitizer with my table set out in my yard, out of the back of my car, and I just package everybody's boxes together and I put them in my car in the order of delivery, and then I just deliver it straight to their doorstep. I call them, let them know, or text them and let them know I'm on my way. And then if they're paying cash or check, what I have them do is I have them put their cash or check into an envelope and tape it to their door, so that we don't even have any face-to-face contact, except for me to see that they have like physically picked up their box, because I don't want a dog from the neighborhood or whatever to get into their box while I drive away or something. So that's what I'm doing, and it's working wonderfully. I do the online market. I deliver every 2 weeks, and it just seems like the community is really receptive for it, and it's just working really well for me.
Awesome.
And it's all done through the Square. The Square is just a miracle, man. The online website took all my items from my app, and it just transferred them straight into the online platform, and it's just super easy to update. I can change my message every week. Next week, I'm going to be offering peaches and cherries, so I can put that right on my website and have it as a featured item and all that stuff. So it's just amazing. It's so easy to use.
A Homer, because that want some of them peaches and berries.
I can ship. I don't know how they'll arrive, but I can certainly ship them to you. Peaches and cherries are coming out on the wholesale markets, just so you know.
So with your online platform, this might be good for next week's talk. I'm just curious what the platform is. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's worked amazingly well. Really, really.
Yeah, actually, that was going to be one of my wrap-up questions today is next week, we would love to talk about online platforms as kind of a continuation of this. I was going to try and meld it into one, but there was just kind of too much overwhelming information on just the touchless stuff. But online platforms are a whole nother thing. And I know that Nicole has a whole bunch of information gathered on that as well. So Jody, she's over here.
No, she's right there.
No, I'm in the middle.
So anyway, is that something that everybody would be interested in for next week?
Evelyn, would you be able to show up next week and be an ambassador for using Square? I mean, I don't have all the world's worth of information and I don't sell anything. So I'm coming from a academic perspective on this, but we were hoping to kind of plug a few people in the audience that have used Square as their free online platform. People who've taken their already existing website and just gotten a plug-in, like if they had a WordPress website, there's things you can stick in there. You got a Squarespace one. People have used different stuff. So would you like to do that?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yay! Yay!
Maybe Brad
Committed.
go over all the different platforms that his market vendors are using too.
Yeah.
Right there, Bubba.
That would help out a lot, Brad.
Yeah, sure.
I know Scott Miller at our Homer Farmers Market, he is not the techiest guy in the least, but he has built his own web store in the last couple of months using, I think it's Squarespace. So
Okay.
it might be a good one to rope in too.
That'd be super cool.
Robbie, after this, can you share his information with me? I don't have his email, I don't think.
I'll email you right now with it.
Cool. So next week, online platforms. We've got some experts sitting amongst us, all around us, and then also others. You, Brad, and Evelyn's like right there, and Brad's right there, and Nicole's right there. So like they're all right here, and yeah, this is really cool. Mandy, do you use an online platform for showcasing your work or any of your art?
I don't have an online store yet. I just I restrict to stores and in-person fairs, but I have a Squarespace website. And so I did think about that when I got the website of, I want it all to integrate so that I can do that in the future, but no, I don't have any ongoing experience with it, but I have heard that, and we do actually, so the many job hats I've had, I used to work at the gallery in town that uses Square for their payment system, and they also use Square to populate their website. So yes, I do have experience actually, just not with my own store, but man, it's really intuitive. I can't say enough good things about it.
Awesome. That's super cool. Yeah. Heidi, is anybody up in Soldotna playing with this?
With online platforms, I am on, Alaska Food Hub is the online platform that I'm familiar with.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I'm not aware of any Central Peninsula farmers that have created their own online sales platform yet.
Yes.
Although we're beginning to see some really sharp looking websites.
All good.
Yeah. So
Nick is in the house. What's up, Nick?
Hey, everybody. Sorry to join late, but happy to hear the content.
Well, we already talked about you presenting next week for us on online platform discussions.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to if there's a world where by the end of next week I could present on that, I'd love that world.
Never show up late to a meeting, Nick. You know better than that.
We're working on that right now, though. We're at it. Helping
Yeah,
some
you
other
guys are
entrepreneurs
doing it.
launch.
So what's going on?
So we kind of, personally, I have two things on my plate right now where I'm helping one family who operates off of the farm launch an online, like a easy, minimal online food platform where they would probably sell tamales and other goods, but they also are farmers. So they want to have, right now they even have plant starts and they want a place to sell virtually. So I'm looking at Square and a Facebook launch for them just to get going. And wondering if anyone would be like, don't do that, because I've been trying to research and learn.
Well, Nick, that's next week's discussion. So would you mind being one of our people staged in the audience to talk about your trials and tribulations and headaches?
I could do that. That would be great. I would love to do that for the community. And
Because I was kind of hoping we'd have a few people that, like Brad's going to talk about what he knows, what Fairbanks folks have done because they're online sales. Robbie gave me the hookup for a guy who's not tech savvy and he just is building a website for his business. Evelyn here's got crazy mad experience with Square and their online sales. You're fighting through the mire, and I was hoping to have somebody fighting through the mire in the crowd.
Yeah, I can do that. Would be great.
And it's experience, so you don't even have to present or prepare anything.
Yeah, I can answer. I can give a half answer to any question.
You would just be expected to like share and ask questions and just express your frustration and hopefully crowdsource answers to that.
Yeah, no, I would love to. Actually, I really appreciate that invitation.
Cool.
Because yeah, at Grow North, we're also trying to launch an online food hub. Trying to maybe go through the cottage food thing to have some of our foods on there. That's kind of in. Also have our CSA might launch a little different, but if we can have produce boxes available weekly.
Nice.
And we have learned, I want to say thank you to this group here who has paved a good route for us, because I've looked at a lot of your websites and I've been learning. So.
Perfect.
Yay. Nick, did you see that Evelyn put her website down on the chat?
I might not. Oh, yes, Evelyn, I've checked out your website. One of the examples, yeah, E&A Produce. So you do Square, Evelyn, right?
I do, yeah, I do the Square.
Good, and that's been working for you?
Amazingly. It runs reports, you can send invoices, you can do all kinds of things with Square. It's so amazing. And it's just super simple. I am not tech savvy. I mean, I'm great at pushing buttons and figuring things out, but I am not tech savvy. And I just pushed a whole bunch of buttons and made it happen. So it worked. It was super easy.
Nice. And I'm seeing Wix.
Yeah, that's
the link to Square. Okay. So will Wix use Square? Like, because I know, isn't there like Wix sales or something like that? Is that just de facto a Square account? Or is that a whole nother?
Jerica, you're using Wix a lot. What's up? Can you answer Nick's question?
Yeah, so Square, when you go to build your website through Square, it takes you to the Wix website. And Wix is an independent web builder. I think they kind of like got a contract thing together.
Okay.
So, but I use Wix to build websites even that aren't linked to Square, and it's really easy to use. There's different templates you can use, and you can even customize each individual section of the website. And there's even a member thing. You can add a member page where members actually create a member login and have a separate part of the website that's for members only. So I really like it. That's what I go to. I tried a couple other ones a few years back when I first started trying to build a website, and that Wix is kind of the one that stuck with me because it was the easiest for me to use as a not so tech savvy person.
Erica, can you bring that to the table next week too?
Sure. I don't
You guys are making this so easy for me.
yeah, I don't have anything prepared, but I'm more than happy to share what I do know.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
That's it.
yeah.
I
think it's going to be, we're going to answer Donna Ray's question inadvertently, because even though
think
we're not
so. I think so.
endorsing anything specifically.
I do need to make fun of Gwen for just a moment. I'm not going to make fun of you, Gwen. I'm just kidding. But I do want to know, what are you guys going to do in Tionic? Or are you still on the phone? I don't want to interrupt.
So we thought about doing online sales, and we talked about it yesterday, and was like, yeah, just because it's working for everybody else don't mean it's going to work for us. So we're going to do switch to CSA boxes, and since this is the first time I'm ever doing it, I'm gonna go with a small orders, like 3 a week. So I'm only gonna have 6 customers at the beginning of this season. We're gonna try to eliminate our farmers market stand altogether if we can, unless I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to get rid of. But we got a donation from a corporation, and they are going to pay for our CSA boxes. So it's good to gather data too, so we could figure out what we're going to do later in the season when I got thousands of pounds of potatoes and carrots. But the other thing is, we have a good wholesale customer. We are selling to the Alaska Native Medical Center, and they could buy like 100 pounds of carrots and couple 100 pounds of potatoes in 1 week. They use it for their inpatient meals. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna start small with CSA, see where that goes, try to do direct sales as much as I can. So it'll be like Evelyn does, just drop it on their doorstep and let them know I'm coming today. You need to be home. But for some of our excess stuff too that I want to keep here, because that's the whole goal of this Tionic Grown program, is we have a fridge in our community building, and there is a guy down there who is willing to do just cash sales only. So I have a card machine. We use Clover. So that's how I'm going to take payments as much as I can.
Yeah, I knew you guys were going to do amazing things. That's why I wanted to know what was up. That sounds amazing.
I know, we were excited because we were like overwhelmed with thinking about how the heck are we going to do online sales stuff for people here and people in Anchorage. And it's just easier for my customers in Anchorage to call me, and I could bag up their stuff and put it on the plane.
Awesome. Yes. Yay. Oh my gosh, so many good things are happening. That's incredible.
But
What do
our
you think,
main,
Tyra? Oh, what?
But then our other focus is we do donations, like weekly donations to our like Elders Meals on Wheels program. They do lunches Monday through Friday. So I give them as much as the cook is willing to take. Then we donate it to a weekly bag to daycare, because we still have daycare for our essential workers, like the health aides. Like if I needed daycare, my kid could go there, since I'm an essential worker too. And then in the fall, hopefully we'll continue selling stuff to the school, because they put it in their school lunches. But we don't know if there's going to be school yet or not.
Yeah.
But at least we got the hospital, and they're a good customer.
That is so cool. I'm really excited. That's great. Good news. That's so cool. Good. Oh, Kyra, what did you glean from your deep dives? Your really creepy holes that you fell into as you searched things online in this world of the touchless payment systems. What are your take homes?
There's a lot of information out there and it's overwhelming.
Oh.
So that's why I like this kind of a conversation, because when you start boiling it down, then you start seeing that, oh, there's certain companies that kind of float to the top.
Mm-hmm.
PayPal and Square and Square Cash App. You know, if you start using like a Square, you can do the online sales, you can do the credit card sales, you can do now you can do the touchless sales if you've got the right machine, and you can do with the Cash App, you can do peer-to-peer sales. So that's one company, like one set of things that you need to learn. So if you're going to learn one thing, you know, maybe that's what you want to go with. So I knew that if we had a whole bunch of information thrown and it's got the conversation sparked, people's experiences would start highlighting things. And that's all the point that I had with this, because I knew that there'd be way too many. And like I said, they come and go even. So that makes it even more complicated. And with COVID, as Jeff pointed out, a lot of the companies are doing special lower rates or different fees. And so it was kind of useless for me to go through and try and track all of that. So it really comes down to picking something and getting to know it really well, and seeing if you can have a few things online for vendors or for customers when they come up and surprise you with another company. But at the same time, knowing how to use what you use is really important. I think for me, it actually is more interesting to think about educating the consumer and encouraging consumers to think about bringing your credit card to the farmer's market, or think about what Cash App you're going to use with your farmers, and care for your farmers. Don't require them to give you change or something. I mean, it really has to do with all of our frontline personnel, not just farmers market farmers, but the people at the grocery store and all the different retail businesses. So that's a lot bigger than farmers markets or farmers are necessarily going to take on. But that was definitely, it just showed me that there's a lot going on in the economy that does not require cash.
Wow, you learned a lot.
Oh, I learned that I don't know much.
Well, that's half the battle, right? At least you did.
Right.
Oops. Robbie fell off, and then she's yelling at me to come back in, so I forgot. I covered up the let everybody in. My bad. Whoops, sorry, Robbie. Oh, I kicked you out. Any take-home messages from anyone else? I mean, we've still got time. I'm just wondering if, you know, if there's some big, like, pieces of the pie that we haven't talked about that somebody wants to throw out there and say, oh my gosh, we didn't talk about this thing at that place. I don't know. Is there anything else? Markets are opening. How's everybody doing?
I got a question.
Yeah.
So if we want to share this with people, since we bothered to record it, how do we get a hold of it? When can we expect to be able to get a hold of it so I can start throwing it on Facebook?
I'll send it to you guys as soon as I get it. And I'll get it to Robbie as soon as I get it. So
you thinking like a day, or I've never tried.
These usually download sometime, so I'll probably get it to Robbie tomorrow.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you barely.
Your microphone's not very strong.
Well, shit.
Oh, no, we heard that.
As soon as Jody sends it, Jody's really quick. We'll send it. It'll be on our, I'll put the link down here on the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah, I promise I'll get it to you guys as soon as possible. And then I'll also, I'll get transcript of the chat, and then I'll take all the bad words out of it, and then I'll send it to you guys also.
PG-13.
We'll do it that way. But yeah, we'll definitely put this up on the on the AFMA website. So
Respect.
Hey, Jody, I got a question.
what's your question, Gwen?
So I know when we first started like these meetings, there was a sign that said, "Stop, the farm is closed." I've been looking for it, and since the Alaska Farmland Trust redid signs, I cannot find that one. Is there one still floating around somewhere? Or do I got to make my own? It's not hard to do, but I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
I don't know. I know that that a bunch of signs just came out for the markets that are on AFMA's website, but I don't remember that one sign.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. So in the chat box, Robbie just posted the Alaska Farmland Trust's COVID-19 infographics. They're really pretty. They're done by the same woman who does all of Alaska Grown's other artwork, and their infographics, so it's the same feel. And it's just basically all of the things for your market. And
yeah, I
don't know,
saw those ones,
yeah.
but I need to put one on my gate for at the garden to say no, the garden is closed to visitors this year.
I don't have one like that. Does anyone have one like that?
When did a family and trust thing?
I didn't quite hear you.
She's gonna type it. Type it, Robbie. Yeah, she's asking if it's a farmland trust sign.
I think it was before the Farmland Trust did it. I think it was before Amy came out with hers, because
okay,
I'd seen it before. And I want to say it was probably from the AFMA conference that those ones were floating around. And I think after Amy did it, I can't find that one anywhere.
Was it in that same group, Gwen, that had like the a badge that said I'm a special worker or something like that? There were worker ones that you could have if you were getting exposed. I
don't remember that one.
Graphics that came up at the conference, but I don't remember the source of those graphics.
Was it the presentation of the market that's in Oregon?
Maybe that's where it was. Maybe that's
yeah, because she had a bunch of, I think that's where that badge one was too. She showed a bunch of stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But according to Robbie, the videos are almost done from the AFMA conference, so you can go back and find that one.
Okay.
Good deal. Oh, sweet. Thanks, Nicole. You're the best. You are. No matter what Kyra and Robbie say. Robbie fell out again. She's done. She's out.
She has a meeting at 5. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I get to teach a class at 6. So, anyone want to learn about composting tonight?
No.
Oh, sign up on our website. Get in and register. I think I have 175 people registered, so it'll be fun. Yay! Evelyn's gonna sign up. She's learning with us tonight. Poor Evelyn has to see me all afternoon. Yes. Also, non sequitur, does anyone have a connection? And I know Gwen is looking into it too for me, but to Charles at the Alaska Villages Initiative? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay, that's fine. We're looking for it. Pettit, Amy Pettit just texted me out of the blue and is like, hey, can I do this? But oh, city council. That's okay, Jerica. You can get the recording later. It's fine. And so, yeah, Amy's checking into wanting to talk to Charles about something. Who knows?
Know his last name?
I forget Charles' last name. That's part of the problem. I can't remember. Evelyn. That's great. Do you have his connections? Evelyn, no. Okay.
Charles Bingham, isn't he the guy in Sitka?
He's just always on that Facebook page. That
No, that's Charles. Different Charles.
Oh.
Different people. He's not in Sitka. That's not the right one.
Oh.
I know who you're talking about. Different guy. That's funny though. That's making me laugh thinking about it.
Charles.
Yeah, no, it's not Charles Bingham.
It's not.
No, he's he's a super cool guy, and he works with the village initiatives, and they've been working for several years on developing ag curriculum in the rural communities.
Right.
Charles Stillman. No, that doesn't sound right, but I remember. Thanks, Heidi. Heidi's already gone. Well, I always say bye after they leave, so.
Yeah, I said goodbye to Jeff after he had to leave too.
I was like, okay. Anyway, no big deal. This is really helpful stuff. I'm excited about next week. Then if you guys want to do a poll, Nicole, let me know, and I'll do a poll ahead of time like we did today. Ooh, Charles Hastings. Thank you so much, Mandy. This was really, it was great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for all of your advice and experience.
Maybe she'll come on next week and learn how to do her online platforms.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if you guys want to do that with a poll, just send me the questions like you did this week, and I'll set it up, and that'll work.
Yeah, that sounds great, Jody. I'll plan on that, and
Okay.
I'll send you something.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I'm looking forward to all the expertise in the room with Nick and Evelyn and Jerica and all the gang chatting about their experiences with online sales, and Brad also, and how they're doing, because their whole market's basically online right now, which is, but in a different way than the Food Hub is. So it's really,
Yeah. So I might take a moment during that, Nicole, to talk about the Food Hub.
yeah,
Just
please. I think that's
Me and Robbie have already been writing back and forth about that.
Cool.
Would you mind plugging the meeting for next week at your farmers market meeting tonight? Because I'm sure there's a lot of Homer farmers that don't have their websites up and going yet too.
Sure. I'll see if I can squeeze that in.
If not, whatever, I'm going to put to Facebook blasting, but it'd be good to try to get a bunch of people to gain from it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Can do.
Cool.
Well, I think I'm going to bow out to y'all's. Jody, I'll see you at 6, and the rest I hope to see you in a week.
Right on, beautiful. I'll see you next week or tonight. Bye. Cool. Good chat. Thanks, Kyra. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, it's really great when you have people that can tell you exactly what their experiences are, so you're not just quoting things off the internet.
Well, no, but you gave us a nice platform from which to dive.
And look at how we dove in.
Dive ever did we dive? But then we like swam to the next pool, which is really cool because that's what we want to do.
Yep. Perfect.
Exactly as we planned. Good. So, and yeah, it's getting warmer and things are growing outside and the pollen's insane. Yay, spring. It's happening. All right, Colleen, thank you. Oh yeah, that's right. That is tonight. Yep.
Yeah, it's right.
A website or a link for the compost tonight? Oh, yes, dear. If you go to our, go to Matanuska Emmett Farm and Extension Center, our Facebook page, and we tried to make it longer, but we couldn't. No, we could have. Anyway, if you go to our if you go to our page, there's the information is there about the class tonight, and you can register there. And it takes like 2 minutes to register, and then sign on at 6 o'clock, and we'll do compost. What? Perfect. It's like compost in an hour. Ha ha.
If only it worked that way.
Jody led a compost workshop at Grow North last year, and it was blew out of our minds.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
I'm gonna be busy tonight, but I would have loved to tune in for that. Hopefully that one's recorded too.
No worries. I'll still come. I'll come down, and when we're allowed to, I'll come and do another one.
That'd be really fun. That'd be awesome.
I'd love to. You guys have a great site for it, and yeah, it'd be perfect. That'd be fun. Awesome.
Yeah.
Soon. I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, thank you guys for kicking in. I appreciate your input. And today was great. This was fantastic. I mean, I love these market chats. They're awesome, and it makes me super happy. Yeah, thank you very much.
This one was full of a wee bit more information than so that's why I recorded it. So if if you missed the first part, you could go online. I'll have it on the AFMA site at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed it ironically trying to work on the online business launch for the other group. So I'm definitely like, oh, all right, I gotta catch up on this.
You're working? What?
Who would have guessed?
Well, I think it verified that you picked good companies to be on, so I think you're good.
Exactly. So cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording. Yes, that's what I